Hey you guys, welcome to today's Q&A. It is the 29th of March, and I don't know about you guys, but it's way colder today than it was yesterday. I knew that was going to come back and bite me. For those of you who don't know, every Monday at 4 p.m. Central, we do a live on our Facebook channel. It's a Q&A. It's just like very similar to our YouTube Q&A that we do every Tuesday at noon Central. And basically, during that time, we go over and answer a lot of questions. Now, during the Facebook Q&A, it's very common to have a lot of our Decker professional drivers on the call or on the live and asking questions and visiting. We may get sidetracked quite a bit, but that's fun. So anyways, if you don't join us on our Facebook lives, please make sure that you do. They're at 4 p.m. on Central Time on Tuesdays, and make sure that you just follow us for more. But we are here live right now. Today is Tuesday, March 29th, and this evening we will also have a Facebook Live for those of you who want to join, because we have a pretty big to-do on our driver awards. So we've got a ton of driver awards that we will be celebrating, not just the driver of the year. So before we dive in, let's do our intro. All right, cool beans. So we will get started here. If you guys have So as a lot of you guys know, today during the live this evening, it is actually at 7:30. We originally had said, or I had originally said 6 o'clock, but the dinner is going to be at 6 o'clock. So the dinner's at 6 o'clock for those of you who have RSVP'd, and you and your guest. And then at 7:30, we will be announcing all of our winners and starting the actual ceremony itself. So hey, Dean. Dean is here. He's in Burbank getting a nice tan at 35 degrees. It is about that here. Dean, yesterday when I was bragging about, it's 31 today. Yesterday I was bragging about it being 70 degrees. Yes, in Montana, 70 degrees in March. It was absolutely beautiful. So beautiful. Windows were open, doors were open. I mean, we were enjoying the fresh air. Today, not so much. It poured last night, which we really needed the rain, so I appreciate that. It poured last night, but then after it rained, we got a bit of a snow, and it dropped from 70 to 31 degrees. So Burbank, Ohio. Okay. I was thinking Burbank, California. But yes, it is absolutely chilly today. Everything was frosted over. Not sure what our farmers are thinking right now, but at least they got rain. We are very thankful for the rain that came. But like I said before, you guys, if you have questions on what's available and what's going on in your neck of the woods, available trucking positions, please make sure that you put in the chat your zip code or your city and state, and I'll be answering those along the way. But in the meantime, let's give you a little bit of detail about what to expect this evening during our awards ceremony. Now, this is our 2021 driver awards ceremony. It's always right around the end of the first quarter of the following year. And we have our Driver of the Year awards. Now, remember, for the Driver of the Year, those who are recognized, you're going to get a little bit more detail on them. A little bit of background, their stats, that kind of stuff, and they'll be awarded their gifts and prizes. And Todd Overson is representing one of the refrigerated divisions. Donald Neely in our flatbed, our over-the-road flatbed division. Chad Hazelton also in one of our refrigerated divisions. Tom Melton in our more Midwest flatbed division, John Hodges representing our owner-operator lease purchase winners, and Robert Anderson and Lydia Dietrich. They are being represented, or are representing our teams for, I think this is the second year that both Robert and Lydia have won Driver of the Year awards for the team. So we'll be recognizing those. So Felix, hello, how are you? Good, I hope. We do have some. Dean says, it was my joke. I thought you were still in 70. I know you wouldn't think we would have dropped the temperature that much, but we really did. As of right now, Felix, we don't currently have anything in that area of Arizona. We do hire out of the Phoenix area, which, basically if you live within about 50 miles of Phoenix, you would be good. But outside of there, you're just a little bit too far away. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, you are a bit far away. We don't go that far south into Arizona. So thank you for asking, though. I appreciate that. All right, so for tonight, the Driver Awards, like I said, those are the division winners for Driver of the Year. In order to get Driver of the Year, you have to have earned Driver of the Month during that previous year, or during that year. So again, these are all for 2021s. You can only win Driver of the Month one time in a 12-month calendar year. And for those who won, you are then put into the runnings for the Driver of the Year. And then from Driver of the Year, that's where the Grand Champion comes out. And we will be announcing our Grand Champion, which has been under lock and key, which I hate because then I don't get to know it. I don't get to know until you do, because you will be there live for those who get to attend the dinner and everything. You will be there live. I will be watching with the rest of the crew live from our own homes on Facebook. So we're looking forward to seeing what goes on there. I'm pretty excited about that. Hey, Georgia made it today too. Awesome. He says, Driver Awards are awesome. Hello, hello. Yes, I'm so excited. It's so much fun. It's fun to see all the awards, and there's a ton of them that are going on. It's just fun to see the recognition and the improvements. Also, one of our Driver of the Year award winners, Donald Neely, for those of you who know Donald, he had nominated us for Best Fleets to Drive For in 2022. And yes, we made it. We made the top 20. This is the first year that we've had a nomination, which is so exciting to us. And we didn't know that it was going to be a possibility to win, or to be one of those top 20, which is a huge feat right there. So yes, we made the top 20 for the 2022 Best Fleets to Drive For. Donald Neely, thank you so much for nominating us. Very exciting. So we'll be talking about that award that was given to us or received back last week, the beginning of last week during the TCA convention. Also, we've got Smartway Awards. We've got our Grand Champion, which is the big to-do. We have a couple of Highway Hero Angels that we would like to recognize, which is quite an honor to be part of the family of our Decker family, to have somebody that has earned the Highway Angel Award. Quite awesome. We've got truck championships. We've got Jamboree showcases to talk about. The IMTA awards. We have customer awards. I mean, there's a ton going on tonight. So I'm really not sure how long all of this will go, but it'll start at 7:30. And after this, the dinner starts at 6 o'clock for those of you who RSVP'd. And then, yes, the award ceremony starts at 7:30. And according to Lyle, that's past his bedtime, but that's okay. Joseph, don't worry about that. We'll still be here. I'm an hour behind, so I'm good. It's only 6:30 by the time it starts. So I'm golden. All right, you guys. So let's talk a little bit about our refrigerated positions as well. Oh, before we do, since Dean actually brought this up, I do want to make sure that I hit on it. There is a severe storm warning. Let me see if I can bring this up here. For myself and for you. give me 1 second here. I just want to make sure that you guys are well aware of this. There's severe storm threats for the southern U.S. I expect to know, I want to make sure Angela is out of there because, not a storm chaser necessarily, but most definitely our meteorologist, Miss Angela Krager. Let's see here. Give me a second, you guys. I'm so sorry. I just received this not too long ago from Matt McConaughey. He's always keeping us up to date on some of the weather patterns that we've got going on here. And today is the 29th, right? There it is. Okay, cool. So this is what, there we go. Make it a little bigger. Okay, this is what you're seeing. These storms are capable of producing life-threatening winds, property damage, power loss, and tornadoes are likely as well. So as you can see here, very possible, significant threat in the pink area. And then of course it just kind of less likely as you go further out from that pink area. But yes, you guys, please be careful. Depending on where you're at, you may be more affected than others. So please be safe. Again, these storms are capable of producing life-threatening winds, property damage, power loss, and tornadoes. So please be well aware. All right. Okay. She brought it up yesterday. Yep. And I always keep an eye on that. Thank goodness. We have a Facebook group, our driver Facebook group, that a lot of support is provided in that, and thank goodness for those who are keeping an eye on the weather. Angela does a phenomenal job. Diane Swallows also does a great job of keeping us posted and up to date in some of those weather patterns that are happening. Also in the driver group, how many of you guys recognized that Mr. William Bird just did his final payment, the final step into becoming an owner-operator? Lease purchase, how awesome. So he's now no longer a lease purchase driver. He is now an owner-operator of his own truck, beautiful truck, D671. So congratulations, William. A huge success for you there. We've had quite a few of those, and every time, I mean, it is an achievement. So please never overlook that. Make sure that you give him a big shout out and congratulations to a job well done on that. Safety also reminds us, besides weather that's coming out our direction or in multiple directions, but also reminds us that we must certify logs each and every day. So if you are not certified every 24 hours, you could receive an hours of service violation. So if you have an HOS violation, it could be worth 3 CSA points if you go through a DOT inspection. So again, if you do not certify your logs every 24 hours, then that could result in 3 CSA points during the DOT inspection on your hours of service, or as an hours of service violation. If you have questions, get a hold of our safety department. It's 515-574-4327. Please be well aware of that. Also, a reminder from our HR department. We have our health plan that's out there. Don't forget that we have the MeMD is now Doctor on Demand. Now you can still access MeMD if you guys prefer that one. That one does come with a hang on, I gotta remember what it was. I want to say it's $30 charge, but we have My Doctor on Demand that is part of the Decker insurance plan. So if you have Decker insurance, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield, you'll have Doctor on Demand available to you. But we also have our Health Check 360. You'll be receiving an email about that for those of you on it, and you'll follow the steps provided in order to start that program. So the first step you'll take is to download the My Care 360 mobile app. There's an app for everything anymore, right? So My Care 360 mobile app, and review it. You're going to do the to-do list, and just kind of go right through. If it'll have information regarding the program, and then health checks along the way. So don't hesitate to contact anybody on the team for clinics and whatnot if you have questions. And as always, if you do have questions, please reach out to our benefits coordinator, Andrea Cloberdance, 515-574-4332. Yes, all right. So that is, again, My Care 360, part of our Decker Truckline health plan, or health plan. But don't forget also that we also have the Doctor on Demand available to you. All right. Now we do have the awards coming up tonight, but don't forget, for those of you who missed the post at the end, I think it was Friday, we did post our February Driver of the Month award winners. Those Driver of the Month winners are in the running for Driver of the Year for 2022. So for the Midwest Refrigerated Division, for our refrigerated division, Todd Overson. And our Midwest Flatbed, Ronald Birkin. Our Southern Flatbed, Anthony Vasquez. And our OTR Refrigerated, David Barnhart. And our owner-operator lease purchase, Michael Mertz. And our team, Cindy and Todd Host. So those are our winners for the month, for February. Very exciting. All right. And we're going to talk more about our refrigerated divisions here in just a few minutes. Before we do, lease purchase has been a hot topic. I don't know, is it because of the fuel prices being so high? Is it because rates are high? People are, customers are paying higher rates. I don't know. But all across the board, how many of you guys watch Freight Waves? Yeah? I enjoy watching that, staying up to date with those. And if a lot of you you've been noticing quite, at least in the last year and a half, 2 years, it's been a heck of a difference. So anyways, to answer the questions come in the lease purchase, for those of you who are wondering, our new trucks, our brand new 2023s, those are coming in May as of right now. I say that, but I do want to put out there that it's a whole new world out there, you guys. When we were expecting to get trucks in the past, they were pretty on time. So they had a pretty good idea of when those were coming in. However, I know last year was a big difference from when we expected, not only trucks, but truck parts and whatnot. They were often delayed. So I want to put up that warning that yes, they are due to arrive in May for the 2023 trucks, at least the first installment of them, first few of those trucks for 2023 will be in May. But you never know if there's going to be delays. So I'm putting that warning out there. You guys already know that. But as after last year, I want to make sure I cover my ground. Because I tell you what, I was a little unexpected on some of those. Not that long ago, ATBS put out an article about the fuel surcharge and trying to explain that for a lot of the owner-operators, lease purchase individuals out there. I am going to, it was on the 15th of March, so I'm going to bring that up here, but fuel surcharge is a mechanism in the trucking industry that helps balance the fluctuations in the cost of fuel. Incorporating a fuel surcharge into transportation pricing became a widely accepted practice back in 2005 after the fuel spiked above $4 a gallon for the first time in the U.S. history after Hurricane Katrina. The spike in fuel prices would have put the trucking industry out of business if the fuel surcharge hadn't offset the additional costs of the fuel. Now, $4 per gallon. I know in many areas, you guys probably wish that it was $4 a gallon still, but it is not. So, but it is not. So just saying blatantly. In Montana here, when I drove past last night, I noticed that it was $5.09, I believe, $5.09. What is it in your area? Dean, what are you paying right now in Ohio? Did you catch the price? Well, of course you got supplies, but what's the price there? George, how about you? What's the price there? What'd you pay? Felix? You guys have any idea? $5.09 is what it was last night here in Great Falls. $5.09. Mm-hmm. Yep, and I know on the West Coast it's even more. I've seen some nasty numbers. They've been crazy. But that said, just keep in mind that the fuel surcharge that was implemented to help offset a lot of that cost. In today's world, there's a variety of sources of fuel information, and the fuel surcharge is calculated in many different ways. So that being said, for simplicity's sake, we'll look at some of the most common methods for calculating the example of the fuel surcharge. Current price, let's say, well, the example they're using here is $4.85. So this is before it went up. So $4.85, the base price of fuel in a shipping contract being $1.25, okay, per gallon. So the increase of cost is what it currently is versus what the contract is. So let me get my little calculator. I'm going to use my 509. So not that I'm proud of it, but 509 minus $1.25, that's going to put me at $3.84. And I'm going to divide that by the average miles per gallon of a truck. 6 miles per, George says 475 in Ohio. 475, it's 509 here. That's just not cool. So divide that by the average miles per gallon for a truck. Now 6, if you have anything at 6 or above for mileage, you should be doing all right. If you're below 6 miles per gallon, then you're not going to benefit from this fuel surcharge, obviously, like the rest of them. So you divide that. If I'm going to use the 6 that they use as an example, that's going to put me at about 64 cents per mile. So the fuel surcharge is the $3.85 divided by 6 equals 64 per mile. Now, if the shipping contract offers to pay $2 a mile for the base plus the fuel surcharge, then you'll get paid $2.60 per mile based off of today's cost of fuel. We pay a percentage. So here we pay, you get 100% of the fuel surcharge, but with the loads that we pay as an owner-operator lease purchase, you're receiving 72% of the gross revenue. So, but in this example, for those owner-operators lease purchase that are on, Tim Walden, then this would be a good example. Let's say you're hauling a load, it's a 1,000-mile load, the fuel surcharge is paying the 64 cents a mile. Based on the calculations, that means that you're looking at about a little over $640, or right at $640 to pay for the higher fuel costs. Now, what if you're getting 7 miles per gallon instead of 6 miles per gallon used to calculate the fuel? That means you're going to divide the 1,000 miles by 7, which equals 143 gallons of fuel. Now you'll multiply that. So our excess price of our fuel is $5.09 minus the $1.25, right? So that's $3.85. Now our excess fuel of $3.85, I had to remember my numbers, multiply that times 143. Where's my calculator? 143 times, what did I say, $3.85. That's a little over $550 for that. Yep. So we paid we were paid the $550, but our cost was, we were paid the $650, but our cost was about $550. So you made a profit of right around that $100. That's with 7 miles per gallon. Now our trucks are usually, hey Jody, our trucks are usually getting above the 7, 8. I think when Josh was on yesterday's live, he was talking about getting between 8 and 9 for miles per gallon. So obviously that's going to make a significant difference in your fuel. So let's actually calculate that at, give me a sec. So I'm going to calculate that at 8.5. We'll fill it in there, okay? So 117 roughly for that times the 385. So that's 452. And if you were making the, oops, so that's roughly about $200, just shy of $200 that you would be making on your fuel, cost of fuel in this example. So it could be a significant difference. Yes. Speaking of, let's dive a little bit deeper into what Patrice, now for those of you who know, Patrice is our Smart Drive expert, as far as I'm concerned, Smart Drive expert. He also works with our lease purchase and owner operators, and he's been an owner operator and lease purchase. He's done that, I don't remember how many years altogether that he's done it, but he's had a lot of success with it. So he's definitely speaking from experience, speaking from the success, and he's been able to put together a description here for us, an article in our newsletter that went out last night about the fuel costs and the bottom line. So he's going to break it down just a little bit more. What I like about it is he broke it down into the four elements, or the four key elements that are controlled, most of them controlled by the driver when it comes to the fuel costs. So we talked about the ATBS and what they put out for the article, and just kind of an overview of what fuel surcharge is and how it can save you. But when it comes to deck or truck line and what you can control and how you can improve upon it, that's what we're going to dive into right now. Now, those four elements, that's your fuel, your miles per gallon, so your fuel mileage. You've got your fuel discounts, or through your fuel solutions, so definitely stick to the fuel solutions, very, very key. You have your fuel surcharge, of course, and you have your fuel maximization, which is your prepaid fuel. And I'll better explain that here in just a minute. There are, of those four elements, three of them are controlled by the driver. Okay, the one that isn't is the fuel surcharge. Okay, so we're just gonna knock that sucker off. The fuel surcharge is the one that you really can't control. But your fuel mileage, your miles per gallon, your fuel discounts, and of course your maximization, your fuel maximization or prepaid fuel, those you can control. Maybe not 100% of, but you can definitely have some control over it. So let's talk about the fuel mileage. If you are running your truck, and our trucks are at 55 miles a gallon, or 55 miles per hour, 55 miles per gallon. Okay, so if you're running at 55 miles per hour, each 1 mile per hour increase will reduce your fuel efficiency by 0.1 miles per gallon. So it's basically by a tenth. Okay, so let's keep this in mind. So you've got a truck going 55 miles an hour. You've got a truck going 65 miles an hour, because that's 10 miles per hour difference. And like I said, for every 1 mile per hour difference, you're going to reduce your fuel efficiency by 0.1%. So if you are running at 65 miles per hour in this example, 65 miles per hour, and you're getting 7 miles per gallon, then if you ran your truck at 55 miles per hour, then in this example, you'd be getting 7 miles per gallon or 8 miles per gallon, if you're at, let's just start over here. Let me make sure I'm getting my examples right. If you are running the truck at 55 miles per hour, all right, and you increase to 65 miles per hour, you are losing basically a tenth per mile per hour over 55. So you're losing a full mile per gallon is what I'm getting at. All right, so if you were at 7 miles per gallon at 55 miles per hour, you're now at 6 miles per gallon at 65 miles per hour. There you go. I tell you what, that's per hour and per gallon. There's a lot of pers in there for me. Anyways. So my point is, the faster you go the less control or the fewer savings that you're going to have on that fuel mileage, with that fuel mileage. That's where I'm going with that. So keep that in mind. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you always go 55 miles per hour. If you're in a state that is the speed limit, then yes, go 55 miles per hour. But just be aware that that is going to have an effect on your miles per gallon and therefore your overall savings with the fuel surcharge, because like we discussed with the fuel surcharge, it is based off of the contracted rate and what your miles per gallon is. So those are all figures used to calculate your savings there. There's one other point that I was going to make there. Maybe use your fuel solutions, but yes, so that's very important. Your fuel mileage, knowing your fuel mileage. Oh, that's what it was. When it comes to what speed you decide to go at, do remember that our loads here at Decker are figured at 55 miles per gallon. So when we're doing our scheduling and stuff, it is figured at 55 miles per gallon. So you will be safe with your speed. All right. George says, George, you're a good man. He says 70 miles per hour, 6 miles per gallon, versus 60 miles per hour at 7 miles per gallon. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's where I'm going with that. You know, maybe I should have had a visual for you. There we go. Awesome. Thank you so much. You rock. All right, fuel discounts. That's the other thing. We have a new fuel solution, and that we hope to provide even more information to you guys through kind of filling in any questions that you might have on it. But the fuel discounts, the fuel solutions that you're given through Decker are all calculated not only with the cost of fuel, but we also take into account, well, the program takes into account your scales, your tolls, you know, just everything along the way, the extra mileage. So keep track of the fuel discounts. Know where you're fueling. And this is probably one of the biggest keys that a lot of people don't realize. You could be going to this gas station that's just across the street from here. It may say that it is 2 cents cheaper for this fuel. So we'll use Pilot and TA as an example. This Pilot may say that it's 2 cents cheaper than this TA that's right across the street. It might say it on the pump. However, if you decide to go to the Pilot that says it's 2 cents cheaper, in the long run, it may very well be 48 cents more expensive. On average, that's what you're losing, is 48 cents per gallon. So it definitely adds up. Please trust our fuel solutions so that we can save you money. As a company driver, you are keeping track of your fuel, your idle time, your fuel compliance. You're doing that for us as a company. And the reason you're doing that is because that money gets invested back into you, whether it be your raises, your additional incentives like your bonuses. We have our monthly bonuses. We have our driver of the year. So we've got all kinds of bonuses, structures, your pay increase, like I mentioned before. A lot of the incentives like clean inspections, things like that, better equipment, upgraded equipment. All of that money that you're saving us with the fuel surcharge, that's getting reinvested back into the company to provide you better equipment, better support, etc. Keep that in mind. Now, as an owner-operator lease purchase, the money that you are saving using the fuel solutions, you feel right at your bottom line, in your pocket, in your checkbook, right? Anybody uses checkbooks anymore, but in your checkbook. That's something that you see immediately as an owner-operator lease purchase. Your fuel surcharge, your fuel solutions, your fuel savings, and your idle time are direct savings that go to you. And that's why you're more aware of it. So watch your fuel discounts. Follow the solutions, save more money for you. All right? And then, like I said, the fuel surcharge, that's not something that you can necessarily control. But fuel maximization, you can. And the key to this is if you have a load that delivers on, Monday and you fill up on Saturday, then your fuel cost is coming out of your settlement a week before you're paid on it. So you want to keep them within the same weeks. Keep that in mind when you're fueling up your loads. Now, Josh used an example and he said in the long run, they even out, so he doesn't really pay as much attention to the maximization. However, some of you will need to because he stays out 4 to 5 weeks at a time, so that's why it doesn't affect him as much. But some of you might need to, especially if you are home every other weekend. Keep that in mind. So fuel maximization. If you are picking up a load on Monday, or if you're picking up a load on Monday and delivering it Wednesday or whatever, then you'll want to fuel within that same week. If you deliver the load on Monday, just use as much fuel or fill with as much fuel as you need in order to get that delivered. Don't over fuel so that you've got that extra padding or those extra funds set aside for you. Does that make sense? All right. I'm sure Patrice did a better job of explaining that for you. But when it comes to fuel savings, he says professional drivers, you're in control of how much you save in your fuel expenses. So test and adopt fuel efficiency driving techniques, and that'll help save you about 5%. It can save you quite a bit of money. Now, with the example that we gave you there, with a 1,000-mile load, that could save you $200, depending on what your miles per gallon average is. Keep that in mind. For those of you who are team drivers, your lease purchase owner-operator teams, it's going to save you that much more. So be well aware of what your numbers are. Numbers, when it comes to business, those are the metrics that you need to go off of. That's what's going to give you or show you your success or not, the numbers. Very good. All right, getting off the soapbox, but I wanted to make sure those are questions we've been asked quite a bit about with the lease purchase. I actually had a comment on our YouTube this last weekend, I should say, and I was just going to bring this up. Give me a second here. I was bringing up the comments, and the comment was lease purchase. Stay away from lease purchase. Lease purchases can be very, lease purchase is not for everybody. So they can be dangerous to some. If you are not good with time management, if you are not good with money, and if you are not running your lease purchase like a business, because newsflash, it is a business. That's why you got into it, so that you could come across and you could own something, right? When it comes to the lease purchase trucks, that's what you got into it. So you have to run it like a business if you're going to see success. And in order to do so, you need to know your numbers. And that's why it's important for that Fuel Solutions. But yes, the individual that posted, and I can't really tell with names because there's numbers and all kinds of things in there, but says never lease a truck. You can lease a truck if you know where you need to be and you've got a good lease program. I do believe in our lease program. I think it's a great program. You can see success. William Bird's a fantastic example. Josh was on there yesterday on our Facebook Live, and he was a great example of someone who saw a lot of success. Sean Swallows sees a great success. He now owns his truck outright. Tim Olden has both of his trucks as well. We've seen quite a bit of it. John Hodges has done a great job with his business as well as a lease purchase owner-operator. So, if you're well aware of your numbers, you can still be successful with those. Now, let's talk about some of the positions that we have available and some that you can do the lease purchase. We have our refrigerated divisions pay 72% of the loads, plus 90% of the fuel surcharge. Now, that is not for all customers. Some customers are going to pay 100% of the fuel surcharge, and that'll be that you'll receive as an owner-operator lease purchase. That being said, 72% of the load revenue is what you are getting per load. So, this is a prime example that Josh reminded me. When it comes to your driver manager, your dispatcher, They are looking at your load revenue each day. That's where they're keeping their eyes. They're not necessarily looking at your miles. Their goal is to make sure that you're maximizing your truck, and they do this for each of our trucks. They're maximizing your truck, the earnings for your truck. And so that's why when it comes to the scorecard bonus, like Josh gave an example. He's like, well, I wasn't getting the miles and I wasn't thinking about it. He was doing great with the revenue, but I wasn't getting the miles. What's the deal? It's because they weren't looking at the miles. They were flat out looking at the revenue and making sure from week to week to week, you're hitting that revenue. All right. So that's what you're seeing. Yes, we do have our scorecard and our Smart Drive bonus also available to our owner-operator lease purchase as well. But it's 72% of the load as a lease purchase. A great example for lease purchase is our over-the-road refrigerated, which you can run from within basically all 48 states, coast to coast. You can also run basically west of the Mississippi. You also have the option of running east of Denver. So everything east of Denver is another route. So depending on which region or what territory you're looking to run, we do have our refrigerated. It's out 2 to 3 weeks at a time, depending on where you're at. Now again, Josh runs 4 to 5 weeks out. That's his preference, and that could be because it's fewer times that you go home, fewer times that you are cutting into your week, into your pay when it comes to lease purchase. You're not cutting your loads short, is what I'm getting at. So that's probably why he runs it that way. But as a lease purchase, 2 to 3 weeks out. I don't suggest that you do lease purchase on our more regional home weekly options, but we do have refrigerated home weekly. It's a great option for some of our company drivers as well. We also have over-the-road flatbed available. So if you're looking to run 48 seats with our flatbed division, you guys, I say 48 states. The New England states are not an area we run a whole lot of. Every once in a while, you might see something up there, but it's few and far between no matter which division you're looking at. And then we have, let's talk about some of our refrigerated divisions. Let's talk about them when it comes to company positions. So our company over the road, our 48 states, that one, 2 to 3 weeks out is pretty normal. 2 to 3 weeks at a time. We figure for every 7 days you're out, it's a day and a half home time. For those of you who are looking to run basically more of the West, if you live in Missoula, Montana, or if you live in areas of Washington and you're looking to run mostly West, we do have a 7 to 10 day out period. And figure you're coming home for probably a 34 reset, maybe 48 hours. William, we were talking about you. Well, hello. I had some questions on lease purchase, and so we were addressing the fuel solutions and managing your fuel, and of course had to do a few shout outs for yourself and your success with the lease program. So there you go. But he came on because I was talking about the Northeast, and he likes to run up there. He thinks we should run up there more. William, I'm giving you a hard time only because I don't hear that very often. You're one of the only people I hear that from. And it makes me laugh every time. But we are running up there more often than we had in the past. So kind of gives you a little bit more opportunity. Is that why? They heard you, huh? All right. So if you are living out in the West, like I said, Missoula area or Spokane area or Seattle, Washington, then 7 to 10 days out is an option for you as a company driver. In the refrigerated division, basically you'd be running west of the Mississippi. A lot of west and Midwest, but mostly west of the Mississippi. For those of you who live in the Midwest and you're looking for home weekly, depending on where you live, I might have a few options. I have a really strong area right now, or a really strong position in our fresh meat fleet. This one definitely has different requirements than some of our other divisions. It is an elite fleet. There we go. Can't say it. Let's say it. An elite fleet. That means that you have at least 3 years of driving. You've got at least 6 months of recent. So you're in refrigerated, 6 months of recent in refrigerated. And your on-time delivery is impeccable. Your customer service, spot on. I mean, you need to make sure that you meet the elite standards in order to position yourself in this fresh meat fleet. It does pay and does guarantee $2,000 a week. So $2,000 a week if you live in a very specific area, however. So if you live anywhere from, you know what, I'm cheating. Let's just put this map up here and then you'll know. Let me see if I can do this. Give me one sec, you guys. I'm going to bring this up because I want you to see some of the areas that we do hire for in this fresh meat fleet. In this fresh meat fleet, I want to remind you that it is meat. You'll have some live loading and unloading as well. There are wait times. So you're paying not by the mile, but you are paid by the guaranteed per week. Now, if you're not available all 5 days out of the week like it's required, then instead of getting the rate of pay per mile, you're going to revert to the daily pay, which is $3.25 for the daily pay. So that's going to be the difference between the two. I am trying to find, maybe. Oh, my map. There we go. Sorry. Obviously was multitasking is not my thing, huh? All right, so there you go. This is the hiring map for the fresh meat fleet. So anywhere from Sioux City to Cherokee, up to Spencer, over to Postville, Iowa, all the way over to Kenosha, Wisconsin, down towards Chicago. Can't really see this, but over towards Goshen, Plymouth, past Gary there. And then back over to Frankfort, Illinois, to Galesburg, Illinois, over to, up towards Des Moines, up onto the 80, and then over to Omaha, further west, to Madison, and then back up to the Sioux City area. So that is our hiring area for our fresh meat fleet. So William says, well, now fuel prices are high. Yes, they are. That is very true. Art says, hey, Art. Art was our first grand champion when we first started this. Was that in 2016? Dean, I need your memory. 2016. Art was our first one. Back then we did a Harley Davidson for the prize. So anyways, Art says 2,000 a week. I'm kind of sort of elite. I thought I just had the 4-day stretch where I drove a whopping 800 miles. Oh no. So, bed stores. No fun. Yes, $2,000 a week for that division. Yes, you got to live in that specific area in order to qualify for that. It's that specific freight is what is being held. Now, it's not a dedicated customer per se, but it is dedicated freight. So it's fresh meat specific, and we use the number of customers that we have in the fresh meats. Or that haul fresh meats to make that work as well as it does. And of course, keeping up that revenue in order to guarantee you guys that $2,000 a week. That's what's important. For those of you who live in the area, if that's something you're interested in, that number that's flying across the screen here, just please give us a holler. We'll answer some questions and hopefully be able to let you know if you're in the area for that position. 888-668-0698. Oh, there we have it. We also have our 1250. So for those of you who don't qualify for the elite position, meaning you don't, maybe you don't have 6 months of recent refrigerated, or you don't have the full 3 years of refrigerated or tractor trailer altogether. Like I said, on-time delivery is important. Where you live is super important. On-time delivery and everything. No load refusals. Getting your paperwork in on time. It's all crucial, you guys. This is a most definitely a fleet. We are keeping track of that. If you are struggling with it, we do have another division that you can go into. a little bit wider hiring area for that. But yes, Omaha to Sioux City up towards 90 there, across South Dakota, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Wisconsin down into the Milwaukee area, south into Chicago, and back over. Yes, that one guarantees $12.50 a week. Now remember, you can make more than that $12.50, but that's the guarantee. Your rate of pay per mile, so these are the difference between the two. In the fresh meat fleet, it is flat out a daily pay. It's a weekly pay. But if for some reason you weren't available for all 5 days out of the week, you'd get $3.25 a day instead of the $2,000 for the week. But if you're not available 5 days out of the week, if you're consistently only available 2 or 3 days out of the week, it's that this position will not work for you. Right? There's times that you might not have the full 5 days available. Maybe you have a doctor's appointment, but if that's on a regular basis, that's when this one would not work. However, the $12.50, you do need to be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week in order to qualify for the $12.50. And remember, that's the safety net of this one. No load refusals. Did I say that? Get your paperwork in on time. Again, crucial. We have scanners in the truck. You can just use the scanners to get your paperwork in. And of course, on-time delivery, no CSA points, no preventable accidents for the week. It's a week basis. And if your mileage exceeds the $12.50 that's guaranteed, you're going to get the better of the two. And your mileage could be anywhere from 52 cents a mile to 70 cents a mile, depending on your overall experience. So if you've got at least a year of experience, you're at 55 cents a mile to start off with. But 10 cents of that's per diem, and you get a penny raise after 90 days, and every year on your anniversary until you hit the cap. Again, the cap right now is at 70 cents. But $12.50, that's the guaranteed pay. If for some reason you didn't meet all of the qualifications, you would automatically revert to the cents per mile. Of course, times the number of miles that you've ran for the week. The week cutoff is at Sunday night at 10 p.m. So make sure you get your paperwork in. So yeah, hiring area is a little bit different for that $12.50, but that is our $12.50 refrigerated division. We've got the fresh meat fleet. We've got the $12.50. We do have home weekly with a guarantee of $1,000 a week. Again, safety net, but that's a lot wider hiring area than for those who are in the fresh meat fleet and the $12.50 hiring area. It's a lot higher area. You're running, in most cases, you're running, well, you can be home weekly in them, but whether you live in, 7 to 10 days out west is an option. But if you live in the Midwest, Omaha, Kansas City, areas of Iowa, Minnesota, etc., we can get you home on a weekly basis. Now, there are areas that we can get you home every 2 weeks, running a lot of the West running a lot of the Midwest, basically east of Denver, that if you live in Atlanta, Georgia, or Bessemer, Alabama, or Birmingham area, we can get you home every 2 to 3 weeks in our refrigerated division. Same for areas of Indiana, Ohio, Oklahoma, Texas for our refrigerated division. William says, I do think the percentage pay works better than the mileage pay when it comes to leasing if you're not experienced in it or haven't done it before. Definitely, especially with what the rates are right now. My personal opinion is that that's true. Now, in some cases, as rates change and go back, you've got that mileage pay to protect you. But yeah, it is important, and having the experience is very important. But honestly, I think that no matter what you're doing, whether it be the mileage pay or the percentage, I think when it comes to having experience in lease purchase, you need to be well aware of your numbers, period. Lease is not for everybody, and I don't suggest it to a newer driver, someone who has just a couple of months of driving under their belt. But that's because you need to really understand home time, how miles fluctuate from week to week when you're in an over-the-road position, which is most lease purchase are, because you're usually out more than a week at a time. So Art says, I'm not interested in leasing, but Jason told me percentage is definitely the way to go. Yeah, right now for sure, because of it. And William says, for anyone looking to lease, just know that's the percentages is the way to go. Yeah, and if you are interested in leasing with us, we'll give you both options to look at. It's $1.05 plus the fuel surcharge versus 72% of the load. Now our average, I believe our average is right around $2.55 for a load, $2.55 a mile for the load. Would you say that's about accurate, William? So that would put you at about $1.83 right now. $1.84, somewhere around there? At 72%. I'm pretty sure it's right around $2.55. I could be wrong, but I think that's somewhere around it. So very good point. Yeah, but if you guys have questions, just reach out to us. If you're current with Decker and you're currently a company driver with us and want to transition into lease purchase, get a hold of the recruiter, get a little bit of detail first. If you want to explore, kind of take that next step, then reach out to either Jason Sorlin or Patrice Fortune, and they'll both go through the details. I can also provide you with a PDF breakdown of all of the expenses of it. You can watch some of our videos. I think, it wasn't last week, was it? 2 weeks ago? Oh man. Yeah, last week was bonus week. So 2 weeks ago, I think we spoke about the lease purchase program and kind of broke that all down and what those expenses were. But it's a question I get often, is asking about the lease and if it's an option. And a lot of times it is newer drivers who are asking about the lease, and I just feel that it is something that you work your way to and don't necessarily jump right into. Get a feel for the company. I know with Decker, we have a $1,500 deposit to go into the lease purchase. Now that does go towards the truck payment itself. It goes towards the escrow initially. But that $1,500 just does. However, we don't require that $1,500 if you start as a company driver first and then transition into lease purchase. But if you start as a company driver, then you already have a pretty good feeling for what Decker is all about and how we manage, how we plan the loads, like I mentioned, 55 miles per hour, how we run you, what kind of miles to expect, all of that. Then you already have a pretty good feeling. You can place those numbers that you've already been seeing into the lease purchase and see if you're going to have success at that point. So George says driver awards tonight on Facebook. Yeah, 7:30. All right. I feel like you're telling me it's time to be done. It is. I know. I've kept you. You've been in our grasp for an hour. Yes, it is at 7:30 on our Facebook page, facebook.com/DTLinc, 7:30 Central Time. Yes, George, you have a wonderful Tuesday as well. You guys, thank you for joining me today. We'll talk more about the refrigerator that I didn't dive into as much, but we'll be visiting more. Art says, yes, George, 1930, it used to be a lunchtime thing. It used to be, absolutely. Now they are doing, it's kind of evolved, hasn't it, Art? Last year, it was all virtual, and this year, it'll still be live, but we are having the dinner for those of you who RSVP'd. That starts at 6 o'clock, so if you RSVP'd, do not forget, there's a meal for you there. And I don't doubt that it's going to be a delicious one. So I'll be watching on the live, cheering everybody on. I'm excited. It's always fun for me to be part of this. So you guys do a phenomenal job. So yes, 1930 on tonight on our Facebook page, facebook.com/DTLinc. You guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'll leave you with my little video here for our live. A big reminder before I let you go. that there is a storm or threat, I should say, a severe storm threat in the southeast areas. Please be well aware. That area that is pink right there in the middle, that is the most significant area to be aware of. So please be safe, you guys. All right. See you on our live tonight. Take care, you guys.